Last month, banks scrambled to allay fears of millions of South Africans whose personal information was exposed following a data breach. Consumer credit reporting company Experian saying it was hit by a breach of data which exposed some personal information of as many as 24 million South Africans. The details of 800,000 businesses were compromised. Experian has since said that the fraudster who duped the company into basically handing over the data had been identified and the misappropriated data had been secured and deleted. But now there's concern that the information is on the dark web, on the internet. Sizwe Kamutse is from South Africa's information regulator. He joins us now. Sizwe, good morning. Thanks very much indeed for talking to us. Before we get into it, perhaps let's get an understanding of what the South African information regulator actually does, and what's your role in an incident like this?
Good morning to you and your viewers. Thank you for having me here this morning. Yes, the information regulator is what one would call in Europe a data protection authority vis-a-vis an authority that deals with access to information. We have a dual mandate to protect, on the one hand, protection of personal information in terms of the right to privacy that is protected in the Constitution. And on the other side, we are also there to encourage access to information and, where necessary, make sure that these disclosures happen in the public interest where there may be a dispute for those things.
Now, the Experian case was somewhat surprising. I mean, the manner in which information was breached was surprising. There wasn't any high-tech cyber breach involved here. Experian was basically duped into giving it, the details, of course, to a fraudster. What was the explanation given to you by Experian for this?
Well, the explanation that I think you've seen in the media, as well as the press statements relating to that, at the time spoke about a fraudulent misrepresentation that Experian had experienced, and this was on the 6th of August. This then later culminated to being indeed a full data breach then as the story unfolded. And in terms of that, there has now been an interaction between the Office of the Information Regulator as well as Experian, but I'm not at liberty to go into details of that particular part. I think it would be too early to discuss such in public.
But you have raised concerns that the fact that the details are now on the dark web and on the internet is worrying, isn't it?
Yes, there was a tip-off from a whistleblower, which we then also saw in various online magazines pertaining to a link of a shared application that is based in Switzerland. There was a link of this particular file, or allegedly a link of this file. That has been subsequently removed, but the information regulator has now taken it upon itself to do an independent review of this particular investigation. And we have also now contacted the authorities in Switzerland to make them aware of this particular cross-border data breach, and the process is unfolding.
So as it stands, how worried should South Africans who feel vulnerable be at this moment?
Well, a data breach is always a problem to the data subjects to whom it belongs. We as a regulator have always said that you should always try and be vigilant with your personal information. Don't just give out your personal information wherever you can. If you do see suspicious transactions on your phone, if you get suspicious SMSs, suspicious inquiries, then obviously one should take proactive steps to ensure that one's personal information is not misused. As it stands, the information that we were given by Experian was that it was secured, which then subsequently we found out that indeed there was a copy thereof. So a data breach of this magnitude is indeed very serious, and I think South Africans, data subjects, should be extremely vigilant in these times following this data breach as to how their personal information may have been used.
Part of the critique that comes up when you have analysts look at this, and they say precisely that it seems unsettling that the onus is now on the banking client to be a bit more vigilant, when the fact of the matter is these details are out there and can be used by people pretending to know much about your background and can sort of siphon out your PINs and your secret numbers for you. Of course, the customer has to be vigilant, but is there any form of legal recourse that the banking client can have when he or she becomes a potential target?
Yes, in the event of misuse of personal information, or in the event of a data breach, a data subject is more than welcome, in fact, should approach the information regulator, informing the information regulator of these breaches. And what then will happen in the event of a large-scale breach like this, the regulator will try within its limited resources to try and get to the bottom of what indeed happened, because there is a duty now in terms of POPIA that anyone who's processing personal information, in other words, what we call a responsible party, there's a positive duty upon them to have technical and organizational safety guards to ensure that your personal information is secured. In other words, the POPIA places a legal obligation now on anyone who holds personal information, processes information, or even a third party that may process information for a responsible party, for them to ensure that they do have these technical and organizational safety guards to at least try and avoid or prevent these type of breaches.
All right, we're going to have to leave it there. Sizwe Kamutse is from the South African Information Regulator. Thanks very much indeed.